All right, so exercise 2.5.5, collage on a theme. In this exercise, we're going to be starting to use our image tag, which will allow us to put images into our web pages. So in this one, we're supposed to be adding 4 images to the web page using the image tag. They should all be related to each other on some theme, and the height of each picture should be 150 and the width of 100 pixels. So we're going to arrange the 4 pictures into 2 rows, and we're going to separate the different rows with a break tag. And we're going to make sure that we put everything in the body, yada, yada, yada. If you want to do a bonus challenge, you can create a 2x3 or a 3x3 grid of photos. So again, this is another one that is much easier to do if you are editing in the code view. But we'll see if we go to the code view, we have the doc type, HTML, which tells the interpreter to read in HTML. We have the head, which tells us the metadata about our website. So in this case, it would say CodeHS up there because that's what the title says. And then in the body, we don't have anything yet. In yours, you'll probably have some instructions included. But essentially, all we need to do for this one is we need to find some photos. Okay, so I found some photos on this website called publicdomainpictures.net because I wanted to find these that were not subject to copyright, that were in the public domain. You're not going to have to worry about that for this one, for this exercise, but in the future there is a lesson on copyright. And they recommend using public domain pictures as a resource. So first thing you're going to do is find a photo that you want to use, and you're going to copy the image address. Okay, so you can either, on your Chromebooks, you'll have to do the double click on the trackpad in order to access that little thing, but we're going to copy image address. So now that I have the image address here, I'm going to go back and into the body. I'm going to type the image tag. So you're going to open the tag image, and then you're going to say src equals quotations, and then paste the URL for the image. And if we just close this right now and we run it, we'll see that it's going to paste an image that's really, really big, right? Because over here, you'll see that the source is actually 1,920 by 1,920 pictures, or 4,000 by 4,000 pictures, depending on what happens, right? So we need to actually edit that so that we will have an image that fits the assignment. So in this one, they want a height of 150 and a width of 100. So to do that, we're going to keep this inside the image tag. Notice how we still have the closing symbol right there. We're going to just type in height equals, and then put in parentheses, 150 pixels. Okay, so that's going to set the height to 150. And then we're going to say width equals 100 pixels. Okay, and now we should have an image that actually fits. Right? It's a little bit distorted because that's the dimensions that the collage is asking for. But in this particular picture is a square and its original orientation, but that's how you change the height and width. So now we're just going to repeat that for the other 4 photos. So remember, we're going to do this. We're going to copy image address. We're going to type in image src equals, and then the URL. We're going to say height equals 150 pixels and width equals 100 pixels. Remember, we needed to add a break in between those lines because right now if we throw that in there, it's just going to have 4 images that are right next to each other. So where are we going to put the break? Well, we need to put it right after our second photo, right? Because we have this one, then we want to break, and then we'll have the owl and the squirrel. Okay, so we're just going to add a break tag, and there we go. If we run this, we should have a perfectly situated collage of photos. If we check, bam, there we go. All set, ready to go, and this assignment is completed. All right, next exercise, 2.5.6, linking an image. Okay, so the idea for this one is that we're going to start nesting our tags, and we're going to have an image that links to a website. So the idea is we want to put in this image, okay, which is going to be the URL that's linked right here. Okay, and we're going to have it be that when you click that image, it's going to take you to this web page. Okay, so that's similar to any time that you click an image on any sort of website, it usually redirects you to a different web page. So that's sort of what we're going to work on here. And the way that we're going to do it is by nesting our tags. Okay, so before what we would do is we would use the A tag to set a hyperlink, right? And we would go like A, and we would say href equals like google.com, for example, right? And then we would close our A tag, and then we'd put in some text, like, and we'd say Google, right? And if we ran this, it would say Google, and we would be able to click this, and it would take us to google.com, right? It might not actually take us there because this technically isn't an HTTPS URL, which doesn't like to run those. But anyways, that's sort of the idea, right? Is that we open our hyperlink, we link to something, and then we put in the text for where we want our hyperlink to look like, right? So in this case, it says Google, right? Or if we wanted to say like hamburger, we ran the code. Now it would say hamburger right there, right? So this can be anything that we want it to be, all right? It's just something that will be a button that you can click, essentially. So the idea behind this exercise is that instead of putting text in there, we're just going to throw in an image. And then when you click on the image, it's going to bring us to the website that we've linked. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. If not, hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense as we actually fill in everything. Okay, so since we already have the hyperlink, the A tag set up, let's just copy this in first. So this is what we're going to link to. Instead of it saying google.com, we're going to delete that and replace it with utah.com/Arches National Park. Okay. And now this is our text that we have right now. It says Ramburge. And if we run our code, it's going to say that. And if we click this, it's going to take us to the Utah Arches National Park website. Okay. But we want it to display a photo instead of having text. So all we need to do that is instead of throwing in Ramburge in there, we're going to throw in an image instead. And if you remember the way to throw in an image, you just say image with our tag, and then we'd say src equals, and then it's going to be the image of the actual image, or it's going to be the URL of the image. So we're going to copy that from right here, this CodeHS thing right there. We're going to paste that in there. And then we don't need to worry about setting any of the dimensions, so we're just going to close the tab like so. If we wanted to set the height and width to something specific, we could do that, but it's actually not necessary for this activity. So instead, let's run the code. And you'll see what we have here is now instead of it displaying whatever text we wrote in there before, it actually shows an image instead. Okay, and if we click the image, it's going to function just like the text did, and it's going to take us right to utah.com. Okay. So that's sort of the idea of this exercise. Hopefully it made sense, and hopefully you can figure it out on your own. And if not, you can always send me an email and ask some questions. All right, last exercise here, 2.5.7. In this one, we're going to make a web page that links to 5 different national parks. So in the previous one, we made an image that links to 1 national park, or it linked to that one in Utah. And in this one, we're going to make a very, very simple web page that just has 5 pictures of national parks that all link to their Wikipedia page. So we're going to use the same sort of setup that we did previously, and a place that you can find pictures of national parks and lists of national parks is right on here, Wikipedia list of national parks. And if you go down to the United States, if you wanted to find ones that were in the United States, you could do that. I'm going to be doing that just for the purpose of this video. And that's how we will move forward. So what we're going to do first is it asks us to put in a header that says parks to visit. Okay, so we're going to say parks to visit in the US. So we're going to switch to code view. That's how I prefer to write. We're going to get rid of this. And so we have a blank body that we can work in. So remember how to put in that header tag H1. And then we're going to say parks, parks to visit in the US with a little exclamation point. Let's run it. And there we go. It's going to say parks to visit in the US. Great. So we have our header, and now we just want to do what we did in the previous exercise. So the first national park that I'm going to do is the Shenandoah National Park because it was pretty close to where I went to college, and I think it would be a cool one to include. Image, actually we should do A first. A href equals, and actually we're going to want to link to Shenandoah National Park. So we're going to link to this instead. So we're going to copy the URL of the National Parks webpage. And we're going to say href equals, and then HTTPS, and then the Wikipedia link for that website. And then we're going to close that, and then we're going to grab the image. Okay, so now we're going to click here, copy image address. And then we're going to say image, image, and then src equals blam right there. And then for this one, we're going to want to actually set some dimensions because we want these photos to all be the same size. So we'll just say like height equals, we'll just set everything to 200 by 200. So we can say height equals 200 pixels, and then width equals also 200 pixels. And we're going to make sure we close our image tab. Make sure you don't forget to do that. And now if I click this, it's going to take us to the Shenandoah National Park Wikipedia page. And there we go. That's the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and do 4 more of these off camera. And then we'll just quickly walk through and review what we did in this exercise. And actually, one small thing that you can do if you want to do like a little bit of something else is you can add like a smaller header, like right here that says H4, and we can just say Shenandoah National Park. So if you wanted to add a little label for each of the photos, you could do that right there. Actually, we should probably take that out of the A tag because the A is still hyperlinking, so we should put that right there if we wanted to do that. So that's something that we could do. But anyways, I'll be back in just one second. All right, so we are back and we have our website created. And you'll see that right now we have the H1, parks to visit in the US, href, and then this is a link to Shenandoah National Park. And then image src equals, and then this is the link to the image that we wanted to link to. We set the height and width right there. We close the link, and then we say H4 Shenandoah National Park, which will put this heading right below our website. So if we click this and run code, now we're going to have each of these 5 parks that have an image of them. Okay, and then if we click the images, it's going to take us to the relevant Wikipedia page. Okay, so we did that for that one. Let's try it for Sequoia National Park. Great, let's do one more. So we're going to run the code one last time, and this time we'll do Acadia National Park, which is in Maine. Click that one, and it takes us to Acadia National Park's Wikipedia page. And then just to review what we did, we start by opening our hyperlink. So we open that A tag, and then href equals, and then the link to the website. So this, in this case, would be the Acadia National Park URL. Okay, we close that, and then we put the image, and then we say src equals, and then the link to the image that we wanted, which was this image right there. Okay, so remember we just copy and paste the image address. Okay, and then we set the height and width by using height equals 200 pixels, width equals 200 pixels, and then we make sure to close our image tab or tag, and then we just close our hyperlink tag. And then the last thing that I did was I added a little header underneath each photo so that everybody would know where each of the different parks was, or what the name of each of the different parks was. So there we go, all done, and you finished all the way through 2.5. Congratulations. Let's check the code, double make sure that we're right. Perfect. You can click submit and continue, and you're ready to move on.